Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Shankly Sessions brought to you by the upper tier. So if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. This is our first Shankly Sessions post Jurgen Klopp era, or if you want, our first one for the Arnie Slot era, if you like. So, of course, I had to bring on my previous co-host for the Shankly Sessions, the man who started it all with me. Deano is back. How are you, my friend?
It's been a too long a time. As I was saying to you before we came live, bit anxious, bit nervous today because it's been so long. It's been a rough couple of years for me. So I decided to step back out of the shadows and get back to doing what I love, which was talking about our beloved Reds. And I'm looking forward to this one.
This has always been our therapy, hasn't it? Always been our therapy. We will keep
Definitely.
you updated on the Portugal versus Ireland game. Portugal 2-0 up. Joe Felix in the first half on 18 minutes. Ronaldo on 49 minutes with an absolute belter. And they have rang the changes at halftime as well. Roberto Martinez. Semedo is on for Dallo. Mendes is on for Cancelo. Ruben Neves is on for Joe Felix. Pereira is on for Pepe. And our own Diogo Jota, the O goals, is on for Rafael Leao. What a squad that Portuguese team is, isn't it? Imagine being able to make those changes.
Yeah, they surely we're talking about a lot of work this week, but the last couple of weeks going into the Euros, who the favourites would be, and I think France have to be top favourites, and then it's like a bit of a battle between five or six other teams, but nobody seems to be talking about Portugal. But when you look at the squad, um, from number one up to number 11, and then what they have on the bench, they surely have to be able to show as dark horses. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing some of the smaller nations that are going to be at the Euros, especially Georgia. I'm looking to see how they get on. Um, yeah, it's exciting times. What are you thinking yourself?
Yeah, well, we're going to go through it because while I have you on, we're going to be going through the Euro groups, and you're going to pick two teams from each group that you think are going to qualify. So we have you on for that as well.
Nice,
Also, to
nice.
let you know, Northern Ireland are beating Andorra at the moment 2-0. Our very own Conor Bradley is on a hat trick, 2 goals in the first half as well. So pretty exciting
It's
there as well.
it's actually phenomenal to see a lad of such youth and promise that come from a GAA background. To I remember when he played his first game for Liverpool, and a lot of questions were hanging over Trent defensively that he didn't have them attributes, and that's one of the things that we are missing. And then Connor Bradley came in like a breath of fresh air. So I'm excited to see what happens with Trent if he stays. But like when we have Kevin Kelleher in goal, there's absolutely zero fear when his name is on the team sheet. The future is bright for Connor Bradley.
Yeah. He's also tonight actually playing in a midfield five. He's not playing at the back, which is very
Oh, nice,
interesting as well. Very,
nice,
very
messing around.
interesting.
I'm
Right.
sure Mr. Slot is. I'm sure Mr. Slot is curious to see how that goes. But there you go, 2 goals
Absolutely.
on a hat trick.
Well, listen, just before we start the podcast and really get into it, we have to say thoughts and prayers going out to Alan Hansen's family and extended friends and the whole Liverpool fan base and all that kind of stuff. This man seriously ill in hospital, and we're praying, fingers crossed, everything crossed that he pulls through and stuff like that. An absolute legend to me when I was growing up as a kid following Liverpool and stuff like that, even as a teenager as well and stuff like that. But what a phenomenal player, ambassador, and even watching him on Match of the Day and all that kind of stuff. What an analyst as well. Sometimes got it wrong the odd time with the kids don't win stuff and stuff like that. Has to carry that around a little bit. But yeah, seriously ill in hospital. We hope big Alan Jockey pulls through, of course. He was phenomenal back in the day when they followed Liverpool and stuff like that. And also hope he pulls through.
Yeah, we're praying
Um,
for you, Jockey.
yeah, absolutely. Right, where are we going to begin? Let's talk about, I suppose, let's take some comments first. Let's greet the audience first. Daz, how are you, my friend? Good to see you there again, as always. And I got in touch with Russ. So Russ is on tomorrow night for the wrestling show. Mark, thanks for dropping in. Really appreciate dropping in. Dino gave me the feedback and stuff like that. Really, really appreciate it, pal. So, and anytime you want to come on or drop on or anything like that, let us know if you want to. Anytime during the season or anything like that, you fancy you drop on. Thoughts and prayers with Alan Hansen, big up Acers. Absolutely. And Daz is in. Any news on Alan Hansen? Well, I haven't had any update at all, Daz, except to say that he was seriously ill and stuff like that. So, out of mark of respect for the family and privacy and all, didn't pry too far into it and stuff like that. Trent is starting on Sunday. Yeah, that's the talk, and rightly so. After some of the performances he's put on, Bradley will be our new right back, and Trent moves to mid. I'm all over that. All over that.
I think we
100%.
all are.
Yeah, I think most people will take that, won't they? Right. So before we get into it, let's have a talk. Portugal have just gone 3-0 up. Just caught the tail end of it there. But before we begin, we're moving into this man's era. Obviously, the two boys in the background have come in. Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards is back. We kind of got pretty excited about all this. Great to have Michael Edwards back and all that kind of stuff. But we're kind of moving into a new situation. And the reason I've taken 2 weeks off and I haven't produced any Liverpool content in 2 weeks is because I wanted the dust to settle on Jurgen's era and stuff like that. I didn't want to kind of, you know, just come back in like a kind of, gone but not forgotten kind of thing, that kind of way. I wanted to give it a bit of time, let the dust settle, see how I felt. I haven't looked into Arnie at all. I'm not overly familiar with his style of play, formations, any of that kind of stuff. I wanted to give it time to kind of settle and see how it was. What have you made of, the club have kind of announced that he's the new head coach. But it's been kind of underwhelming in terms of the communication, isn't it? There hasn't been a whole lot of communication. There wasn't that kind of press conference to announce him and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to know what you're thinking on it.
Yeah, I've been feeling like this for about 5 or 6 days. It's like an anticlimax to the season. For me, it doesn't even feel like we have a new manager. It's just gone real stagnant. There's no hype. There's no buzz. Yeah, we got the announcement, but there's been no official video package from the club. There's there's very little. There's very little to be excited about. Obviously, we do have a new manager there, and I think we're all excited, but we're also a bit apprehensive. He has big huge shoes to fit into, and then trying to get the senior players on board. And then you've got all the rumors starting now about Trent and stuff like that. So it is it is an exciting time for the club. It's the next chapter for all of us, from yourself, who's been around for. You remember the good times in the 80s. I started to support Liverpool in 94, 95. I remember my first ever game going with my dad and my mum. We'll touch on my mum in a bit if you'll give me the opportunity to. But going out to see Liverpool against QPR and Robbie Fowler, John Scales, Kevin Gallen was playing. Like, that's how far I've come as a Liverpool fan, and this is just another chapter to look forward to. But I'm just excited to see him at the club, see how he finds his feet, see what kind of style and system he's going to bring into the club, and just see, can he get the senior players on board. We're hearing the right noises from the senior players. The only one we haven't really heard anything from is Trent. So that time will come. But yeah, apprehensive but excited.
Yeah, I had a little bit of concern last week when I seen Robbo giving an interview prior to the Scotland game. He was out having a game of golf and he was getting interviewed by Sky Sports, and he said he hadn't heard from him at all. And I was kind of thinking they must be really letting the whole Jurgen thing just simmer right down and drift away gradually and nice and easy and stuff like that before. I mean, I'd imagine when Arnie comes in, a lot of the questions that will hit him first will be a lot of the Klopp sort of comparisons and all that kind of stuff, and how his playing style will compare and all this kind of stuff. And kind of, we have to kind of dust ourselves down and just treat it maybe in a different way. I was also thinking today, maybe the way it's a little bit underwhelming is the way that kind of like maybe he hasn't come in. He's not necessarily maybe replacing Jurgen. I was thinking about it today. Maybe with this whole structure now, with the director of football, with Edwards and with Hughes and everyone else that's in there now, I was thinking maybe he's come in and it's more of a Pep Linder's replacement because he's coming in more of a head coach than a guy who's
Yeah,
going to be like signing players and all that kind of stuff, like what Jurgen was doing in the last couple of years since Edwards exited the building and stuff like that. So maybe it's a little bit underwhelming from that point of view and stuff like that. And we'll have to wait and see. But certainly, I'd imagine in the next week or so, things are going to start taking shape. And obviously, the Euros will take off, which is obviously starting on Friday. The window opens up on Friday as well. Very, very difficult to sign players who are involved in the Euros because there's just no availability really
yeah.
to get at them.
I think it's probably a blessing in disguise that the Euros is this summer. So he's not rushed straight back into it. It gives him a bit of time to find his feet in and around the club. He'll obviously have the players coming in early for training that haven't been to the tournaments, so we get to know he'll be familiar with a lot of the players that are coming in, and there will be some senior players that aren't at the Euros who will get to meet first. And I'm sure then word will filter through to the lads who are away that like good feedback or bad feedback. But what you were touching on there about not necessarily replacing Klopp, that could also be a blessing in disguise. From it is a lot. That's a whole lot of pressure that would break many a
Yeah.
man to come in after Jurgen's left, because like, let's be honest, no one's ever going to replace Jurgen, and he still feels like the gaffer, the boss to me. So with Pep Linder stepping away and Arnie coming in as head coach, that could be a ploy as well by the club, and that could be something. They've had a chat with him, said, look, don't. You're obviously going to be under pressure, but don't feel that you have to come in and just be Jurgen Klopp, be yourself. And look, I've looked into him. I've heard interviews from former players, and he seems to be well loved. So that's one point already for a Liverpool fan to
Yeah.
have a fella coming in that has that aura, and we're not hearing many negative things about him.
Yeah, I think it's kind of maybe because we have heard so little, and because he kind of maybe, hasn't addressed Liverpool, the city, and the fans and stuff like that. There's a little bit of anxiety there because naturally it would be there with Jurgen leaving, but also we don't really know what to hang our hat on at the moment, so we've nowhere really to turn. We don't have a manager. We're not going to get another manager. We're getting a head coach, but
Yeah,
we haven't heard from him yet. So we don't know what way it's going to be. And we know that, half the battle in this job, apart from the footballing side of everything and the pressure of results and all that kind of stuff, half the battle is getting the city behind you and the fans behind you. And especially that local fan base behind you as well is so key to being successful at the club.
100%. I was just going to say that, like, winning over the players is obviously the main thing, but you have to win over the supporters. You have to win over the local community that Jurgen was such a big part of. Now I'm not expecting him to just get a dossier of what Klopp used to do and go and do that. He'll find his own patterns, but he has to invest himself in the city, not only the club.
Yeah, I've often said it on podcasts when I do the Shankly sessions and stuff like that. And especially with Bill Shankly be the guy who we named the podcast after and all. He's up there on the shelf and all. But like, he made it very clear that being the manager of Liverpool Football Club or the head coach or whatever you want to call it now is so much more than just being the manager of a football club. You carry a weight and an expectation of a city and of a local fan base as well as a global fan base, and it's absolutely massive. So the magnitude of that job, hopefully he'll be able to hit the ground running, do well, and all those other things that we expect him to do. But yeah, everything sounds very positive. He seems very positive as a character. He's quite animated and all that kind of stuff, very similar to Jurgen as well. And obviously we will wait and see what his thinking is in relation to how he wants to play and all this kind of stuff. And the beauty of it is he's going into a situation there where he can really truly put his stamp on it, which might be refreshing for a lot of the players in the squad because it's this equal opportunity kind of thing. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, we'll go down. We'll go
100%.
down through the squad and get your thoughts on the squad and stuff like that. And again, I would always say to people in the chat, we love all these players. Every single one of these players we love. At times they absolutely ignite us during the season. At times they
Yeah,
are so in our heart during the season. We love them so much that there's times during the season they frustrate the hell out of us, and that's part of being a fan. And
defo.
obviously, I would
Niall, just
say, yeah, go
no,
ahead.
go on, finish. Sorry.
No,
Didn't
no,
mean to
go
cut
on,
you off.
go
Go
ahead.
on,
No, go
finish.
on, you're going. Go on.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to before we got into the squad, I'm not on social media around like that, and as you know, it's been 2 years I think or so since I've been on the show. I just wanted to take the opportunity. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I just wanted to pay pay homage to Jurgen Klopp, and I just wanted to say thank you. And you know, you know, you know me from going to the games and being a Liverpool fan. I'm as passionate as they come. I've been thrown
Mm,
off forums for being over passionate, but I've been through a bit of a bad couple of years, and Jurgen Klopp got me through them. So the good friends like yourself and the boys,
yeah.
Darren, Mark, and that.
Mm,
But I just wanted to say thank you to Jurgen. He holds a special place in my heart. I got to share a league title with my mother, who passed away last year, and she was a massive, massive red and loved Jurgen to bits. I think she loved him more than
mm,
she loved me dad. But Jurgen got me through some of them times, and I just wanted to
yeah.
say thank you.
Yeah. Now it's mad. I mean, he kind of, he brought us all together again, and he lifted us out of a situation there to really get us to believe again and stuff like that and all. And he brought us on some incredible journeys, and he made us want to go to war for him and stuff like that and all. And we fought for him every tooth and nail, even at times when he came out with some silly, bewildering kind of stuff. We stood there with him even through that stuff as well. So yeah,
But
absolutely.
just
I mean, it's
I'm tied to him for life as well because my son Lewis has the same birthday as him, June 16th, which is Father's Day this Sunday. So I will never, ever, ever forget Jurgen Klopp. And just a little funny story: when Lewis was born, the missus had to be taken in for emergency surgery, and when I was asked what did I want to call him, because we just won the league, it was Jurgen Mo Dean Fitzpatrick.
Didn't get away with it, obviously.
Not a chance.
Tried your best,
Not a
though.
chance.
Tried your best.
She'd have had them on a
Let's just
plate.
go through the comments. Yeah, Aces, 7 days until the new fixtures is out. I will go through them with Dino. We will focus on the Liverpool ones. And obviously, the other fixtures I will focus on between Darren and Mark in between the shows. Big up, Henry. Good to see you, my friend. Hi, Niall. Just came in to give you a like. Always appreciate the support, Henry. Keep it rocking, my friend. And I hope you're enjoying. I think check out Henry's channel as well, folks. I think he's covering the Euros as far as I know, which is always great in the summer to have that kind of content coming out. Big up Henry from Daz. Hi, Daz. When's his press conference? We have no idea. Everything is being kept pretty quiet at this stage, but we shall see. Still 3-0 to Portugal and still 2-0 to Northern Ireland, as far as I can see. Right, a lot of this conversation about the squad and stuff like that at times could be a little bit tough to kind of talk about insofar as there's a lot of stuff up in the air at the moment. So if we even start just with the goalkeepers, we seen Allison last week and the week before being linked to Saudi Arabia to a big move and stuff like that. I kind of don't see that happening. I don't know what your thoughts are on it. I think he still has a hell of a lot to prove in Europe. And especially if he's chasing down that number one spot back at Brazil with Ederson and stuff like that, moving to Saudi Arabia, I would think would damage that slightly. Let me know your
I
thoughts on
don't.
Allison.
No, I definitely can't see Allison going. I think that's why a lot of people think the club are naive to try and sell Quavy and Kelleher, but for me, I think Allison's not going anywhere. We're hearing stories that Adrian's going to be offered a new contract. Look, for me, Adrian should. We'll touch on Adrian, but he should probably move on. But it's good business to sell Quavy and Kelleher. He's getting first team football. He's starting every week. Liverpool obviously will have the first option to buy him back. So when the time comes for Allison to go, we bring in Kelleher. It makes a whole lot of sense. But yeah, you're obviously going to get rumours linked with all the big boys: Trent, Virgil, Allison, Mo. It's only natural that was going to happen with Jurgen leaving. But no, I echo your sentiments. I can't see him moving on this summer.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. Adrian is, and again, you kind of preface that as well because all these guys they were so close, and they were so close to Jurgen as well. And a lot of these players in here don't know anything in terms of management except Jurgen Klopp. Some of the younger guys and stuff like that and all as well. So it's a massive adjustment for them as well, and it'd be only natural for them to think about their position and what's going on at the moment and stuff like that. So we can't deny there's no harm in looking at the situation as long as they arrive at the right answer then eventually. Adrian, they apparently have offered him a new contract. I'd imagine it's greatly reduced than the last one. The talk is he's going to reject it, that he actually wants to move on. So that's not a bad thing. Quavane is in there as well. I think it would be as much as I wouldn't like to lose Quavine, I think it's tough on us trying to keep him there as a number two. He's been absolutely brilliant. When you think about all those cup runs and stuff like that, and we were there, we seen him the night of that Arsenal game and stuff like that and all. He was brilliant that night as well. Even though it was a massive scoreline, he ended up being excellent. And, the penalty that he took and all that kind of stuff. And also, I think with Quavine, I think he's one of those where he needs an opportunity now to win as a number one. He'd been linked with Wolves because Jose Sa's talking about moving on to a more challenging project. So if he went to the Wolves there under Gary O'Neill, that would be a fantastic move for Quavine. Absolutely brilliant. But again, it leaves us kind of a bit light because we've Allison. We'd have to go out and pick a number two. We might have to promote a number three. I'm not too sure. We've been linked with the boy Trafford, who was at Burnley. The ex-City man who I think he won the under-21 championships, didn't he, with England?
He's an outstanding goalkeeper. I was excited when I seen that we were linked with him. I seen Newcastle had made a 15 million pound bid from, but yeah, I'd love to. That was the name I've been chatting to the lads and walk about. If Quavine was to move on and Adrian, that I would love Trafford to come in as a number two. He's got a massive field. But this is what I'm saying. There's an exciting time for goalkeepers that are on the market at the moment. There was a couple of little rumours about Ramsdale as well, but Trafford would be my main target. But we don't know what Arnie's thinking, and maybe he could go after the Feyenoord. You're hearing all the rumours now that there's 3 or 4 players from Feyenoord linked with us.
Yeah, and that's where we have to be really, really careful because we've seen, if you look at the Ten Hag situation and the players he brought in from the Dutch league and stuff like that, it generally speaking hasn't really worked. So we need to be really careful in that kind of situation. That he needs to get an understanding of the Premier League and the gulf between that and the Dutch league and stuff like that, and be careful when he's making those kind of suggestions. But yeah, we'll keep track on Quavine and see how it goes. The talk at the moment is Forest had sent in a bid of 15 million or an inquiry, but apparently Edwards wants double that, and Forest should know better than to be testing Michael Edwards in terms of price in the market as well. So, but certainly the goalkeeping situation, and it's probably a good time to come in as well because if you look at Allison probably has X amount of years left at the top as well, where he might then want to do that Saudi move or go back to Brazil or whatever it is. So that leaves that opportunity there. So if you're number two, then at that stage, you have a great opportunity to step up to be number one and stuff like that. Maybe Trafford's looking at that as well because I'm sure he'll want to be playing as well. But with the amount of competitions we're in and stuff like that, he should be getting game time anyway, so shouldn't be a problem. So we'll keep an eye on the goalkeeper one's an interesting one. Right, defenders. I seen an article today, I think it was on Caught Offside or something like that, or 442 or whatever it was, whichever one it was. They were talking about how they've been working to get like Arnie Slot all sorted and stuff like that. And then they've been working on players outside of the club, some of those deals and stuff like that. So they haven't necessarily been working on the internal renewals and stuff like that now. For me, that's a bullshit article. I don't believe it at all. The talk in this article was they were going to kick down the road the Virgil van Dijk talks till the end of this year, which means he'd only have 6 months to go on his contract, and in January he could talk to other teams. Now, once I seen that, I didn't believe the article. I said, that's absolute nonsense. No. There's no way Liverpool would do something like that. Joe Gomez looks kind of refreshed. He's in the England setup there now, quite versatile. Had a real good season on the left-hand side and stuff like that. I know on a lot of the shows I did and stuff like that, I was praying for him to get a goal. I wanted him to get a goal, but unfortunately not. What you're thinking in terms of defenders there, the likes of Gomez, Konate, Costas, Robbo. Obviously, Nat Phillips, I think, will probably exit the building. And me and you kind of have a personal shine for Nat Phillips and stuff like that.
Nat Baresi. That man.
Yeah, not Butcher.
Not Butcher. He set the San Siro alight that night. Just on Joe Gomez, though, touching on his versatility, I'm so excited for him to go out to the Euros. There's a lot of he's an argument topic for argument at the moment, isn't he? A lot of people asking why he's gone. He's the most versatile defender that England have. So why would he not be on the plane? People are saying that Harry Maguire should have went ahead of Joe Gomez. you've got a left back going who hasn't played football at all this season. Kyle Walker's picking up injuries. Trippier's had a long layoff through injury. We don't know what two are going to start at centre half. For me, it's John Stones and Joe Gomez. But he slots in right or left, and he can play in front of the defence. So, of course, he's going to go. Touching on the rest of the boys, just wanted to say thank you to the big man, everyone's favourite defender, Joel Matip. How sad are we to see him go? That man, calmness personified, and in the dark days at Anfield, his head would pop out with a big stupid smile. So sad to see Joe go.
Yeah.
And
especially in the manner as well, especially with the injury and in the manner as well that he couldn't kind of play it out, because we were big fans of Joel Matip, that's for sure.
Everyone was just few and far between to find someone who doesn't like Joel Matip. You know what? Defensively, what frightened me a lot last season was when it came into the run in the last 10 games. The boys seemed to feel the pressure, and that included the two young lads as well, Quansah and Connor Bradley. I know Connor Bradley picked up an injury though towards the closer end to the end of the season, but everyone just seemed to feel the pressure. There didn't seem to be that assertiveness, or everyone trusted in each other. And over the years, when we were successful getting the Champions League finals, winning Champions League, winning the league, it was just one solid unit. The back five was like a brick wall. Nothing could get through it. And since Virgil's come back, he has lost a yard or two of pace. And it always seems to be if Van Dijk plays well, whoever's beside him plays well too. But coming towards the end of the season, Konate seemed so unassured. He wasn't himself at all. Lapses in concentration, getting caught on the back foot. So, that was worrying for me. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes in if we've any plans defensively, transfer wise. There's a few names being linked with us at centre half. So I'm looking forward to someone young, fresh coming in with new ideas. Start again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, hopefully Konate, Deschamps has confirmed that Konate and Upamecano are going to be the starting centre backs, which is a huge positive statement there, especially with Saliba there, who's had a great season with Arsenal and stuff like that. I would have thought he would have been nailed on as a starter, especially with
Saliba was probably the best centre half in world football last season.
Yeah, so it was, and with this kind of season that Konate had, it wasn't a great season by any stretch from him. He did struggle when he came back off the injury as well. He looked rusty as hell. He looked like he'd lost a yard. And I mean, obviously, that kind of period of the Palace game, the Merseyside derby, and the Atalanta game at home was a really bad period for us. Those kind of 3 games really is kind of where things kind of dive down and stuff like that and all, I think with the likes of Bradley and with Quansah, I think because they're young and they were kind of fairly newish into it and stuff like that and all, they hadn't felt that pressure before. And as I said before, is the only way that you're going to grow younger guys like that as well is by allowing them that opportunity to play and potentially make mistakes and learning from it and stuff like that. I'm a huge Jarell Quansah fan. You've seen it on the shows how much I talk about that guy. I just think he's absolutely fantastic, and I think he's going to be an amazing central defender for a long, long time, I think so. Bradley, we can't speak enough about Bradley,
No, what I think is going to stand to the lads as well is that little run at the end of the season where we didn't play well, where we massively underperformed, and there was heavy criticism on everyone, the main boys and the young lads. Everyone got the flack, so that's going to be a massive positive as well for them, because you don't want them to just, you obviously want to be successful, but you don't want them to just learn success. They've got to suffer, that have the bad days, you know what I mean, and have the crowd on their back, because it's only going to build them as players. And they have that vote confidence from Jurgen. The new manager's going to come in. He's going to know that these guys are good enough, because the man before them put every bit of trust he had into them, and so did the fans. And the positives are there. They're in black and white. So it's I'm excited to see the two boys coming through. As I said, there's other clubs where the young lads are in the starting 11, and the fans are a bit anxious, they're a bit worried, but never with us. The lads who came in at the Carabao Cup run, the likes of Lewis Kilmas and stuff like that, Bobby Clark, there's some massive talent coming through the club in all positions. So exciting times.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the Carabao Cup win and I mean the youth coming through at that stage, filling those gaps for injuries and all that kind of stuff was a real highlight of the season. That we showed that these guys can step in there and they can produce, and it also highlighted that for me that at every level within the club we had that playing philosophy and stuff like that because these young lads came in. And it was like they were playing in the team all along. There was no difference, no drop off, really. So it was fantastic to see it from that point of view. Not necessarily the way we want to deal with the volume of injuries and all that kind of stuff. We always want to try and produce our strongest team and stuff like that. But it's great that they get those opportunities and all. Um,
Coming in under pressure as well. You know what I mean?
yeah,
With the
yeah.
amount of injuries, coming in under that pressure
Mm.
is only gonna build a mentality.
And not only that, carrying the weight of obviously being Jurgen's last season as well. They must have
Yeah,
felt that heavy as well, you know what I mean? Because we know how heavily he was involved right down through the academy and all.
yeah.
Left back, how are you feeling about the left back position? Obviously, with Robbo and Costas there. Obviously, we have a huge affection for both boys. Obviously, he's the
Oh,
Greek
100%.
scouser in our team and all that and stuff. Can you see any changes there? Would you change it up? How did you feel how this season went with both those boys?
Um, we Robbo is starting to lose the legs. He's starting to pick up more injuries. What an unbelievable servant for the club. And I think maybe after the Euros, pending he has a good Euros, hopefully he doesn't pick up any injuries. I know he came off injured the other night. Hopefully he gets to be part of the competition. But Robbo, Robbo, I think himself will know that someone fresh needs to come in. To give him that little bit of a push that he might need, going into the new season. But for me, the massive change has to be, as you said, there's so much affection and love for the Greek Scouser. But I just think if the club can get the right offer, that maybe it's time for him to move on. Yeah, it's just he's never really kicked on, has he? He's never really enforced himself on taking that left back position. I think once Robbo was fit, Robbo was always going to go straight back into the team. So
Yeah.
going into challenging against Arsenal, going into challenge against City, Chelsea are going to come back. United are going to come back. Spurs are definitely going to come back. I think there's 3 or 4 positions that needs that bit of a reinforcement coming to try and take the position or
Mm.
be there or thereabouts to come off the bench.
Yeah, you kind of really need, like, I spoke about it during the season as well, that I'd love to see us go for the boy Robinson or Fulham. I would think is a fantastic left back. He's had a great season at Fulham and stuff like that. But I just wonder what way that would work. Would they bring in the likes of maybe a Robinson, or would they go for a left-sided central defender? They spoke about German Ignacio off Sporting and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see what way that conundrum is done and stuff like that. But certainly we've seen quite a drop off on that left-hand side. And I think to the point where it was affecting a lot of the other stuff we did going forward as well. But as you said,
Yeah,
we never really felt at any stage when Robbo was out that Costas had nailed down the position and Robbo would have to try and win it back.
no,
It was always a case that he was just being the gatekeeper, but certainly that's a position that probably needs to be looked at and stuff like that because I found at times this season as well, a lot of our play was going down either one side or the other, but it was quite imbalanced and stuff like that. So we shall see what happens there. Midfield, let's talk about midfield, which was kind of like it started off kind of like we had done a great
and then just fizzled
rebuild.
out.
So Bosley was flying, McAllister was kind of jumping between the 6 and the 8. Endo came in. Endo was really, really good up until he went off to the Asian Cup. Then he came back. He wasn't quite the same Endo, but before he went, he was outstanding. So Bosley was unbelievable. Then he got injured and came back. He wasn't quite the same. I'm sure Alexis found it quite a frustrating season as well, being jockeyed between the 8 and the 6.
Yeah,
Because he always wants to be powering forward and be creative and positive. And in that 6 at times, I think in that 6 at times he felt like he was playing like an 8 and we were being left a little bit open and stuff like that
we're
and
left
all. And
short.
that's true no fault of his own either. So what did you make, first of all, before we go into the other guys, what did you make of the 3 new boys and obviously Ryan Gravenberch as well?
Yeah, we'll touch on Gravenberch last, but
Mm.
the main concern for all of us last summer was when Fabinho left that we didn't have, like, let's be honest, like there was a period for about 2 or 3 years where Fabinho was the best number 6 in football. And our defence, that back six with him sitting in front of the boys, was impenetrable. Like nothing got through us. We were phenomenal. Then we brought in Endo, and everybody was that's like
He's
a
back.
bollocks.
Back hustling.
You can't see me. Um, yeah, Endo came in, and we were kind of just thinking he was just a stopgap. That Jurgen didn't really have any confidence in him. Fans didn't know what really was going on. And Alexis was brought in on the back of a season at Brighton as a number 8, and he was one of the best number 8s around. And that's why we brought him in. So the same playing at a 6 was very underwhelming. And then Endo came in, and then we pushed Alexis forward, and we just hit the ground running. We were like a freight train. Szoboszlai was on fire. Goals were coming from all over the pitch. It was an exciting time. We went on a very good run, and we got our hopes up. And then we came to the last few games, 10 games of the season, and Szoboszlai kind of fizzled out. Finished off the season kind of underwhelming, like an anticlimax. And then with Gravenberch, I think a lot of people, boys in punditry, ex-players, ourselves, I think a lot of people were heavily critical of him. Very, very inconsistent. He'd have one good game, then he'd go on a barren run. Yeah, I don't know what the future holds for Ryan Gravenberch. I think he could be sold on in the summer.
Yeah, he certainly showed a lot more in the latter end of the season. You could see his movement and stuff like that. He was finding the rhythm the more that he played and stuff like that. So I don't know. See, this is kind of a difficult season in order to judge as well, because I think a lot of these players could kick on from last season, because the weight of carrying that expectation of Klopp leaving, plus the way everything kind of, there was a lot of makeshift throughout the season because of the volume of injuries we were carrying, and all that kind of stuff. So I think there might be an opportunity there to maybe go and have another look again. I remember calling you the morning of the Caicedo news, and the two of us were so excited in the car, remember? And then just within an hour, it went to shit. And then obviously Endo came in, and we were going, we've gone from Caicedo at 115 million to a Taru Endo. And I was thinking, good Lord. But I tell you, when I seen it, he turned me around then, though, when I watched him play and stuff like that. I think towards the latter end of the season, obviously when we came out of the title race but had secured Champions League football, I'd say a lot of these players, probably their eyes were turning maybe towards the Euros and the Copa America and all that kind of stuff and all. So full time, by the way, in Portugal. Portugal won 3-0, 2 goals for Ronaldo and a goal for Joe Felix. And full time in Northern Ireland as well, 2-0 against Andorra. Both goals being scored by our own Conor Bradley. So couldn't go wrong with that. So talk to me then about a man we've spoken a lot about, and we'll touch on them probably in a group. Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. Curtis again seems every season he's been given another season to prove himself. How do you feel about that situation?
Well, I think yourself, Darren, Ian, Greg, Ted, Mark, I think towards the end of the season, everyone found out my true feelings for Curtis Jones. Has all the talent in the world, Noel. He has all the attributes to go and be a superstar, the homegrown Liverpool lad. He has everything in the locker. But somehow every 2 or 3 weeks just manages to leave 6 or 7 things in the locker and forget to bring them on the pitch. There's times where it just looks effortless for him. And like all we want is players to be consistent. But when you know a player is that good inside, that he can't just perform consistently, it always you look at the game, the West Ham game in the Carabao Cup semi final at Anfield, and he just destroyed West Ham. He bossed the whole game. But then there's 5 or 6 games where he's pulling out of tackles, he's doing stupid step overs, taking too long on the ball. Everything is backwards. And I think if we sold him, he'd find wherever he goes that he'll just click for him, because he'll feel that he knew then what was missing from his game. Like, there was talk of him going to Arsenal through the season, that Arsenal were going to look and buy him this summer. And you just know if he goes there, he's going to have a season like Declan Rice, and he could be the missing piece for Arsenal. It's there.
Yeah, I look at Curtis and I think I get those Solanke vibes often, that I know there's a player in there, but trying to unlock that player in a consistent way is very, very difficult. And obviously with Alexis coming in, made it even more difficult, you know what I mean? Because the competition there now. And I think with Curtis, the one thing about Curtis is you need to kind of give him a run of 10 games to get that kind of consistency going and stuff. And he tends not to get that run of games and stuff, you know. So it's a difficult one for him, and he's one that we've I've the first time I ever seen Curtis Jones, he was warming up with Trent at that Napoli game, I think it was, in the Aviva, and they were two kids, like that was back, I think, what was that, 18 or 17,
I
2018 or
know. And
17
then
or something. So,
we were there at Anfield when he scored that goal against Everton in the FA Cup. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's
And the
it's
game, remember the game against Arsenal? The Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, was it? Remember the
he was
5-all?
outstanding.
Party played in that. He was
He was
outstanding. That,
outstanding.
like, yeah.
It's everything is there in him. But I don't know. You know what you said there about he doesn't seem to get that run in the team. I think that's due to no fault but his own, because he's not given the manager the evidence to be trusted to get a good run in the game. And then someone's there. What's that? Mark is saying in the comments there.
Too many
Just
injuries.
want big shout out to Mark as well. We lost touch with each other for about, I think, about 7-8 years, probably longer. And then just by chance, I found an email address, and here we are, back in touch. And he's given good feedback to the show. But the injuries as well, so many injuries, which are so unfortunate, especially when a player is that talented and could be just finding his feet. We look at Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He was the best player in the Liverpool team, and then got that horrible knee injury, and that just ruined his whole Liverpool career. So, hopefully Curtis has a good summer, gets well rested. Managers coming in with fresh ideas could bring in and introduce a style of football that would see him get that good run of games. So, yeah, look, exciting times. Don't want him to leave, but just want him to step up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Queevy and Kelleher getting man of the match tonight as well. Excellent. Excellent stuff. And kind of
Could have
when
been
you're up against a
cricket stuff.
team like Portugal as well, you're expecting that. Mark back in again. Yeah, Curtis gets too many injuries for me. Shame, as he has bags of talent, I'd move him on. Yeah, I think that's probably where it's going to end up. And I think, as you said, Deano, in about 2 years' time, we'll look back at this and go, man, like the Solanke situation, Solanke, well, he's balling out this season for Bournemouth, so. But there you go. Talk to me about Harvey. How are you feeling about Harvey?
You know, when Harvey first came on the scene at Liverpool, when we signed him from Fulham, I was absolutely ecstatic. I remember doing a show with you, and we touched on him, and I got super excited. And then he got that horrible injury against Leeds.
Yeah.
And I think he's starting to find the feet that he had before that injury now. I think the end of the season has come at a good time for him. Get himself fresh again. Get himself fitter, stronger. This guy, I believe, could cement a place in the team next season. He's absolutely outstanding. We've seen against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park last season. 90, I can't remember, 95th, 96th minute, really, really late in the game. Took the ball on the wing, turned inside, beat 2 or 3 players, rifles into the bottom corner. That's the type of player this guy is. He's a game changer, and if you're going into the dying minutes, he's someone that can pop up with a moment of magic. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Harvey gets on. What, like Mark said, if you're to pick between the two, who's to go and who's to stay, probably sell on Curtis, and definitely looking forward to seeing how Harvey gets on next season.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would have took Harvey to the Euros if I was Southgate. It'd be a tough one. He can certainly come on and bring a bit of energy and change the game. But when you look at that midfield that England have at their disposal, the likes of Jude and Declan Rice, and unbelievable and stuff like that.
I was
So it'd
surprised
be a
not to
tough
see
one.
him in the provisional. I was surprised not to see him in the provisional squad, just to bring him along,
Yeah.
just see what it's all about.
Mm. Was he involved in the last round of internationals
I'm
back in
not sure.
March? Something tells me I thought he was. Now I'm not too sure. Um, what about then? I mean, obviously we have to talk Stefan. Bajcetic obviously had a very tough season, injured for most of it and all. Again, another very, very exciting player, and one that this season will probably feel like a new signing because we barely seen him last season. You know, he was doing well. I think he had one or two. Did he have a bad game against City, or he had one or two bad games? But other than that, then he got injured and stuff like that. But other than that, but he's one of those players as well that will pick up an injury because he's 100%. You see him in the tackle and everything and all. You rarely see him pull out of anything and all. But Stefan's one I'm really looking forward to this season. I hope he bounce back and we see that Stefan Bajcetic again that we had previously seen prior to the injury. And then obviously Bobby Clark is in there and James McConnell, who have both very much impressed us when they came in this season. So I'd like to see them being involved again. Any of those players that really, fill that kind of situation this season and stuff like that, I think they deserve to be heavily looked at this season and probably a little bit involved and stuff like that and all as well.
Yeah,
So exciting
again
times.
for those lads,
Mm,
Noel, with the as I said with the Euros, it's a blessing for a lot of them because they're obviously going to be in early with the gaffer. They'll probably participate in a couple of friendlies before all the senior lads are back,
mm,
and they'll get to get a taste of the manager's style, the system, and obviously then for the manager, he's going to see then firsthand what we seen last season.
mm,
I think one or two of them, like James McConnell, could probably do it alone. Um, Maybe Bobby as well. But for me, they were good enough last season to get maybe up until the end of the window, maybe get a bit of that game time at the start of the season. But the one I'm looking forward to is Stefan Bajcetic. Absolutely buzzing to see him back. He just came out of nowhere.
mm,
He literally was like a
yeah.
shooting star, just landed on the pitch. He was absolutely outstanding. Then
Mm,
got that nasty injury, so he's came back. He's looking a lot bigger and a lot stronger. So we sometimes forget about him being around as well. We were talking about maybe buying another number six to maybe test Endo or maybe just come straight into the starting 11. But Stefan Bajcetic showed that he's fully capable of doing that. Maybe
mm.
save us some money.
Potentially, yeah. Or if Curtis was to exit the building, certainly you drop Stefan into the eight there and get him to be challenging Alexis and stuff like that. So it's a nice conundrum there to have.
Yeah,
But certainly it'll be interesting to see what way they proceed with that. And it's kind of an interesting one because people talk about obviously Jurgen gone and obviously Jurgen's method of managing and stuff like that obviously squeeze a little bit more out of these players. Might have got another 10, 15, 20% out and stuff like that. So people are kind of concerned at the moment about once Arnie comes in, there might be that drop off of about 20%. But we certainly have a squad there that's built for challenging, isn't it? Without a doubt. If not winning, but built for challenging. And it just needs a little bit of work on it and stuff like that. So, hear a lot of people talking about rebuilds and stuff like that. We're not actually going through a rebuild. We just need maybe a couple of players move out, a couple of players move in. I mean, obviously, it becomes a different conversation if we're going to start talking about the forwards now, and obviously, Mo Salah is a big topic of conversation at the moment. Obviously, Luis Diaz and obviously Darwin Núñez, big topics of conversation at the moment. And depending on what happens there, then you find yourself in maybe a more difficult position where you have to go out and you could potentially be looking at replacing a Mo Salah or a Luis Diaz or a Darwin Núñez. Maybe let's see what happens. We don't know, but it's just let's see. So let's get into the forwards. Obviously, Luis Diaz heavily linked with Barcelona and with PSG. That has been shaking his bum out in the market by the looks of things, which I thought throughout the season with you after Christmas was really disrespectful after the support that the club had shown them going through that really difficult period of that kidnapping and stuff like that and all. I thought it was well out of order and stuff like that and all. What have you made of Luis Diaz?
and just touching on the father situation, left a very bad taste in my mouth. He's like a Timu version of Diego Maradona celebrating in the box at Anfield. But for what the club did for him, we're not the biggest fans of FSG. I don't think we ever will be. But when that situation took place, the club, the private jet was there out ready to go and get his father out when he was freed, brought back to Liverpool straight away, given a house, like undying support, the fans behind him. And I see today he came out and he done that interview and he said he loves the club, blah blah blah. He never said he wouldn't leave. And I do think if an offer comes in that he'll try and force them off. The one thing I will say is I'll echo on what Steve McManaman said. Barcelona can't afford him. So I think the only place he can go, or maybe we use him to our own advantage. Um, the guy Araju, the centre half, is apparently on the market. So why not use it to our leverage and bring in something that we need? Um,
Yeah.
and we've seen that Darwin's unhappy. Araju coming in as Uruguayan as well. There's a friend who he's really close to. Might help him. The two guys settle in a bit more. So Diaz Diaz was outstanding at times last season, but when it came to it, too many missed chances. The boys really let us down, let themselves down
Mm.
towards the end of the season. The too many chances, lots of getting into the final third, but in the final third, it was just wayward, off, lacking composure. And to win leagues, you have to be solid defensively. You also have to score goals. And you look at the chances missed. The majority of them were between Darwin and Luis Diaz.
Yeah, I think Lewis he played he started playing really well in that latter end of the season, but he couldn't really finish his dinner. But I think also in terms of his play as well, because of maybe some of the issues we were having in the left back position and that link up play with Alexis into Luis Diaz and stuff like that. And we know that kind of our style of play changed a little bit. We weren't doing as many of these overlapping runs as we used to do with Robbo and stuff like that when Mane was there. But I think with Luis Diaz, he can be absolutely sublime and world class, or he can frustrate the hell out of you. But the one thing I noticed about him this season is he became a little bit obvious in his play. So it was very
Yeah,
easy at times for defenders, to just show him to the outside where he couldn't really do a whole lot, or bring him back inside and stuff like that, but just shadow him and stuff like that and all. And it must have been a frustrating time. But I think a lot of his play improved actually when a lot of these links with moving away started happening and stuff. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that. Darwin is a different one. Obviously got an awful lot of stick on social media. To the point where he deleted most of his or all of his Liverpool stuff practically off his social media and all, and he's been talking about how happy he does be when he's away playing with Uruguay and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see Darwin if he comes back and how he bounces back, and can we really get him motoring again? We know there's a player in there. We've seen him this season at times against the likes of Newcastle and stuff like that. Absolutely outstanding when he came on and stuff. But we need to see more of that Darwin Núñez, and it's just the more it builds, the more frustrating it gets and stuff like that and all. But on his day, he can be unbelievable. Mark is in
like
again. Big up, Mark. Diaz's dad wants Spain move. Agent offering him to Saudi clubs and all. Yeah, absolutely. And it's shocking, Mark, isn't it, with the way we treated the dad? Like we really, the way Liverpool handled that whole period in relation to that kidnapping was so professional, so understanding. They couldn't do more. I don't think Liverpool could have done any more for Luis Diaz's family during that time and stuff like that. And even how happy we were to see the family united again at Christmas, and all the pictures that came out and everything, and that the situation ended in the right way. The mum came back, the dad came back. It was all good and stuff like that and all. And it just sickens me to see this kind of crap coming out and stuff like that. Really bad. Big up, Sean. Hi, no, I can't stay around. Just wondering what time you're open tomorrow. I will be in there for about 10:30, Sean. Shouldn't be too late, pal. So, yeah, about 10:30. We'll have a good chat, as always. So, yeah, Darwin for me. Mo Salah. Talk to me about Mo Salah. This is always a bone of contention. This is always the conversation that Liverpool fans at times want to avoid and stuff like that. Coming into the last year of his contract, a lot of talk about the Saudi deals from last summer, potentially coming in again this summer. Talk of maybe a 1 year extension. Um, what is your thinking? We love Mo Salah. Up on that wall there is the two pictures of him in the front of the Echo when we won the Champions League and when we became champions in the Premier League. So we love Mo Salah. My son just worships him. His whole bedroom is Mo Salah. What is your thinking in that situation with Mo Salah? Come at me first of all from the team and the player side, and then talk to me about the club and what the club should potentially do.
yeah, look, I don't think last season was his greatest season. But you still look at his numbers; he's still in the 30s for goals and assists. Um, I think as a collective unit, the front three didn't really gel last season, even though we did score a lot of goals. But you look at the chances missed. We had enough chances to win. I think there's probably the top 5 leagues in Europe between the front five. But Mo, there was times you went over for the Palace game with Asler, and I remember we had a conversation after it, and you were so disappointed. You sounded absolutely heartbroken. He just seemed devoid of hunger, that he just didn't want to be there. But then at times when he turns it on, you're like, this guy is still the best in the world. His goals record, I don't think will ever be rivaled at the club again. Um, but again, like we said, like I said, it was kind of an off season for him, but we just know what is still there next season if he stays. The guy is very seldom injured. He looks after himself. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He's in unbelievable health. And we're going to touch on what the club want to do and maybe taking the money. But for me, I just think it's too big a loss. I had a chat with my brother Daniel about this, and we were talking about what do you do? Do you take the 100 million? And he made a valid point. He said, "Look, then we bought Salah for I think less than 40 million, who
Yeah, about
was coming
35.
in to sit on the bench. Nobody was excited whatsoever. And then look at his look at his record at Liverpool. As I said, it won't be rivaled again. So if we were to lose him next summer on a free, is it really a loss because we only bought him for 35 million? I know 100 million is a lot of money to turn down. But for me, for only buying him for 35 million, I just think you got to keep him. If he needs to go next summer on a free or he signs the 1 year extension, brilliant. But I just think it's too big a hole to fill, regardless of who you spend the money on to bring in to replace him.
Okay, here's the counter conversation, because I like to bring in the counter conversation, and I love Mo Salah. He's front and center there in the show and everything. I have the standee out there somewhere, the whole lot. So we know the score there, and we know how much I love him and revere him and stuff like that and all. But if Mo Salah goes on a free next summer, we lost the whole of that front trio for 33 million. That was valued the previous year at about 250 million. Now, the problem that you have there is, and the counter conversation about it is always, if we lose Mo Salah and his goals and his assists go out the door, the conversation is always like as if whoever we bring in to replace him, it's like as if we're going to bring in some scrub or something like that. Like we're going to get 100 million for Mo Salah and we're going to bring in some guy for 5 million that we never heard of from West Brom or something like that. You know what I mean? The guy who comes in is going to score goals. The guy who comes in is going to assist goals. There's no doubt about that. If you put a Jared Bowen in there, and I'm not saying these are the names to replace Mo Salah, or you put a Kudus in there, or whoever it is you want to put in there, they're going to score goals and they're going to create assists. So they may not create it at the level that he creates it at, but then there's no guarantee that he might do that this season as well. Looking at the drop off from this season and looking at how frustrated he was, we seen the reaction at the West Ham game. It looks like he still has plenty he wants to get off his chest, and he's not happy about certain things and stuff like that and all, and that may or may not happen. We'll have to see. But I think it's a real risk. And look, I've seen Robbie Fowler leave the club. I've seen so many great players leave the club. I've seen Steven Gerrard leave the club. I've seen all these great players leave the club. And this is a really, really difficult one because he's such a special player. He's just the embodiment of Liverpool and humanity and the good feel and the good vibe and all that kind of stuff. I would hope now with Jurgen after exiting the building and his last season and the weight of that all being carried in that expectation, that maybe the shackles might be off some of these guys and they might find that form again and be really, really tops. But I'm not too sure. The balancing act to that then is, if you sell him for 100 million, do we trust FSG to give that 100 million to Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes and Arnie Slot to spend that 100 million and go out and do what needs to be done? I'm not too sure about that either. I know they did it when we sold Coutinho. We got Allison and we got Van Dijk, so we didn't do too bad. So if we were to cash in and get 100 million from Mo Salah, looking at his age, and I know you spoke about his fitness and all, and how well he keeps himself and stuff like that and all. Um, but is it a case where we need a bit of refreshing there? Is it a case that if Mo Salah exited the building and we brought in for that kind of money one or two top players maybe, and we had
Yeah,
competition on that side? Because if you look at Mo really doesn't have competition. You could argue that you could put Dominic Szoboszlai, push him more forward. He's played in that more forward role for Hungary and stuff like that. If you want to put
yeah,
Trent in midfield, you could do that to create that competition. Harvey, I don't think, is going to supply that competition at any stage as much as we love Harvey. So it's a difficult one as well. And that's another area, kind of like the left back situation, where it's kind of void of competition. He's on the team sheet every week. He's always going to be there so long as he's there. He's never dropped. As you said, he's never injured. So there's never any reason to kind of replace him in there or anything like that. So I don't know. It's a difficult one and one that they're going to have a look at. And I think those conversations and those decisions. And again, I'm not standing sitting here saying I want Mo Salah sold. Far from it. But I think those conversations and those situations will evolve in the next couple of weeks once Friday starts triggering stuff with the transfer window.
yeah.
And they
That's
may be
it.
the big decisions that have to be made.
I think we're just a bit apprehensive because like having not heard from the manager and we don't know any concrete interest in players
Mm,
transfer wise. Like everything could change in the space of 3 or 4 weeks. You might
mm,
have players coming out and saying that they want to go. You know what I
mm,
mean? We might get bad news that Trent has decided I've done everything at Liverpool. I've been there for 8 years. I've been the mainstay in the team. I've won everything in England.
mm.
I want to go and experience in Spain. Everything so much could change. And as I said, like we don't know any concrete interest in anybody. We're hearing names, Kudos, Jared Bowen, Chiesa. Like very excited to hear all these names. But we could be underwhelmed with what Arnie comes in and actually wants to buy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of what you said there we've heard before. We've heard about the Nicola Barellas and all this kind of stuff time and time again and stuff like that. And maybe they might be an option, maybe they wouldn't be an option. Who knows and stuff like that. No, but it's always a difficult one to speak about because he's obviously the Egyptian king. He's our guy, you know what I mean? So it's always a difficult conversation. I remember going through that situation with Gerrard when he was off to Chelsea and how difficult it was and stuff like that and all. So it's a real difficult one that plays on our minds. Jota speaks for himself. If we could just find a way of keeping Diogo fit, obviously he's been picking up a lot of injuries recently, and even kind of, I wouldn't say like simple injuries, but no injuries that you think they would knock it off after a week or two and come back seem to be getting
Yeah.
longer and longer. A simple injury, like not a simple injury, but like a calf injury that he should come back from is taking much longer to come back from. So maybe that needs to be looked at.
I know. I
Cody
was gonna
Gakpo.
say that.
Yeah, go
Oh,
on.
sorry, just on Jota. I was gonna
Yeah.
say like if I actually had one wish for next season, it'd be that he could stay fit for the whole season.
Mm.
I argued with the lads in the group, but genuinely believe he's in the top two best finishers in the Premier League. The guy is electric in the box. His
Clutch.
head, his right foot, his left foot, clutch. He's unbelievable. If we
Mm.
could keep him fit for a season, that would be like bringing in prime
Mm.
Fernando Torres.
And you know what I like about it as well? At times we're perceived as being a nice club and a little bit soft at times. But he's the guy that brings that shithousery as well, isn't he? He's that guy up
Fucking love
front
that
that
about him.
he'll have a dig and he'll have a go, and that's kind of what you want. And it's kind of like if you could take some of his skill set and pour it into Darwin and still have Darwin's chaos, you know what I mean? If you could get Jota's clutch finishing and marry it into Darwin Nunes' chaos, you'd have a heck of a player and stuff like that and all. So yeah,
It'd be the
Jota's
Andy Carroll we would be the Andy Carroll we hoped for.
oh Jesus. I was only looking at that the other day. I was looking at videos of Fernando Torres and I was going, how did we go from that to that? Just unbelievable, like unbelievable. Cody Gakpo, obviously, who kind of rounded out the season in more of a positive way, and it was kind of interesting to see the reaction of the fan base and stuff like that. How reactory they are. You go from, you know, get him out of here. We don't want him anymore. He's awful, and then you get the why is he taking time off to have a baby with his wife and all this kind of stuff and all? You're there going, life is life kind of thing, you know. I mean, he's going on to have a kid, you know. And then he comes back and he plays really, really well and he shuts them all up. And then they're all Gakpo in guys. So in the space
Yeah,
of kind of 6 or 8 weeks last season, we had 3 weeks of him out. We had 2 weeks of why he took time off to go have the kid. And then we had 3 weeks of, oh, this is the Cody Gakpo we now know that we have and all this kind of thing. So it was kind of weird. What you're thinking on Cody?
yeah. I was heavily critical of him at times last season because there was a period where he looked to be some sort of imposter, that he actually wasn't the
Mm,
real Cody Gakpo. He seemed to be stealing a living. Just bad touch, no strength, no hunger, no passion. Just nothing like we saw when he was playing in Holland. And then he took off the break to go and have the baby with his missus. Congratulations on that. But then when he came back, he seemed to have that hunger and passion back, and maybe the little break with family, settling his head, you know, putting a bit of shit to bed that he'd gone through in the previous few weeks off with the flack coming from the fans. He probably came back thinking a new start. It's a new chapter in life. And now he's gone off to the Euros with Holland. Best of luck to him. I hope he
mm.
has a good tournament. Myself and my brother were tipping him to be one of the top scorers at the tournament. So it's a bonus for himself, bonus for Holland, and definitely a bonus for us if he goes off and has a good tournament.
Yeah, and nothing like having a child to make you very serious about your business and your career. That's for sure. So looking forward to seeing Cody next season and see how he goes. And then we rounded out obviously Fabio Carvalho, who was out on loan all season, who was kind of brought in on the back of had a brilliant season with Fulham. He was absolutely outstanding. But we brought him in to play in a position that we don't play, that Jurgen doesn't play. And it was kind of trying to crowbar him in there. And of course, the highlight for us when he scored that goal against Newcastle, remember, in the 98th minute or something like that,
98
something
minute.
crazy. And that was just unbelievable. And we thought now he's going to kick on. And then I think he had a really good game or something, or he had a bad game against Man City. And then we never really seen him again. He kind of dropped off the map and stuff like that. Do you see any way with Carvalho? Is he one that's probably going to be moved on, or do you see any
Um,
future for him at Liverpool?
Look, I think the manager coming in, and I'm coming in off the back of a good season with Hull. I think he will be given a chance at the start of the pre-season. Um, Maybe probably going to end up with another loan. Probably another one that you're probably looking at. We're going to bring in 2 or 3 players in our attack, in the attack, and probably lose one. But with Harvey there, I think it just kind of shortens his chances of nailing down a place in the squad. And then you've got some good young lads coming through as well. Um, New manager coming in could look at a new system which could force him even further down the pecking order. So he's probably another one that if a good offer came in at sell, um, best case scenario for himself is probably go out on loan. But I just don't think he has that ability to go out on loan in the Premier League. I think probably championship could be his level. He could surprise us, but I think championship just could be his level.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And then, of course, we rounded out with Ben Doak, who was doing really well for us and stuff like that and playing well. And again, obviously got injured, I think it was a knee injury he picked up or something like that, but was excellent for us. Brings that ball of energy. Reminds me very much of Damien Duff. Just picks up the ball, head down, and he's drenched in sweat after 5 minutes. So he just looks wrecked. But what a little talent Ben Doak is and stuff like that and all. And be interesting to see how he fits into the plans when Arnie gets his feet under the desk, as they say. Right, couple of other things just to do before we head off. But listen, it's been great having you back on and stuff like that as well. It's a real pleasure talking about Liverpool and stuff like that.
Can I
Make
just
sure,
can I
folks.
just say one thing on
Yeah,
you, Noilish?
yeah.
Um, just Darren said something there around your birthday time when he was telling us that he got the deal for you to go over for the Palace game. Um, you're a good deal. Not being a cheesy soppy bastard, but you're a good deal. You're someone that I think a lot of people would like to have in their corner. And you helped me a lot the last couple of years, especially since my mom's diagnosed and then she passed away. And I look at you like a father. So to do this with you as 2 massive Reds fans, um, don't want to be too cheesy, but I love you the bits, pal, and it's a pleasure to be back with you.
Ah, yeah. Look, it's great to have you back, and I always said to you the door was always open and stuff like that. We love talking all things Liverpool. Quick one, the kits. How do you feel about the new ones? I seen the new one on the young lad there the other day when you sent me the picture and stuff like that. So you were out of the block straight away on that new red one.
Of course. I'm gonna pick the one up for myself. We're heading away next Tuesday, so I'm gonna pick one up to saunter around Mallorca in. It's it's not really us, is it? I don't get the whole yellow pattern through the jersey. I like the collar. I like the collar. It reminds me of the jerseys from back in the 90s. The old the red Adidas one that had the thick cricket collar on it. Yeah, I just think it's just a purchase for the collection. I'm looking forward to the Adidas gear. Put it that way.
They did a version of that. Some guy mocked up a version of this in Adidas. Yeah, I'll get you the video of it. You want to see it, man? You buy it straight away. Incredible. And the
I'm
way the
really
collar,
excited.
the way the new collar went down into the three stripes on the sleeve and all, outstanding, outstanding. Um, the picture I have there for the black with the sage or the grey with the sage doesn't do it justice really. They always do a nice jersey when it's the black with that kind of sage green, if they call it. And I actually quite like this the red with the. I'm not sold on the Nike tick. I don't know what they were thinking there, but I like that kind of white, the white with the grey going through and stuff like that, and again that old school kind of overlapping V-neck collar with the sleeves and stuff like that, and also not too bad. And then of course Ali will always look great in any goalkeeper jersey that you put him in anyway. So
I was hoping for an Ali a Campos collection, an Ali Campos collection. Do you remember that little dude that played for Mexico? Imagine Ali, slick black hair, thick black beard, bit of a tan, and the luminous colours on him.
yeah, absolutely. What was the other guy who played for Colombia? Valderrama, was it? Was
Oh
that his name?
no,
Valderrama, was it not?
Rennie Aguida, was it?
Not to remember the lad who remember he
The
made the save
scorpion
against
kick, yeah.
England. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, with the big afro and the big handlebar tash and all. Legend, legend. Right, let's go through quickly the Euros. Then give me your picks. Your doesn't have to be in any particular order. Start with Group A. Just tell me two from each group who you think are going to qualify for the next round.
Ooh, I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think Scotland are gonna get a point off Germany on Friday. I think Germany are in a bit of a recycling phase at the moment. There is some exceptionally good players in the squad, but I don't know. Scotland could do in Ireland, just sneak a draw off the Germans. And I think if Scotland get a positive result on Friday, they could get second place in the group because I think Germany will then beat Hungary and Switzerland. So I'm gonna say Germany and Scotland.
They'll be happy. Robbo and the boys will be happy about that. John McGinn, McTominay, the boys. Group B: Spain, Croatia, Italy, and Albania.
Ooh, I watched Spain against Northern Ireland the other night. It took them going a goal down after 11, I think a minute and 11 seconds to wake themselves up. That's a really, really, really tough group to pick two from. I'm gonna go with Italy and Spain.
Tried and tested. Group C: Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and England. Again, another tough group to pick
Very
two out
tough
of
group.
three.
And in a one-off game, anything can happen. I think Southgate has made a couple of bad decisions in the England squad. I think they'll just about squeeze through with Denmark. Denmark could be a dark horse for the tournament as well.
Yeah, Aces are telling us there might be some breaking news coming out that Ineos has decided to keep Ten Hag for next season. Be interesting
What
to
a
see if
time to be
this
a Liverpool fan.
absolutely. Group D: Poland, Netherlands, Austria, and France.
Yeah, France and Netherlands can't really see past them two boys, can you?
No, absolutely not. Interesting. Poland might have a say in it, but again, interesting. Um, Belgium, Slovakia, Group E, Romania, and the Ukraine.
Belgium, that kind of golden era just passed by. Bit of a damn squib, wasn't it? Still should have enough to probably get maximum points in the three games, and we'll go through with. I'm gonna go Ukraine.
What do you make of them not bringing Courtois?
I think. Look, obviously he's been out for the whole season with the injury, but I just think you look at his performance in the Champions League final. His performance against Liverpool in the Champions League final. alone should have them going to the Euros this year. And that final was what 3 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I think it's a scandalous decision. I think it's a if things go wrong, if and they don't get through, fingers will be pointed at decisions like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Group F: Turkey, Georgia, Portugal, and the Czech Republic.
I'm looking forward to seeing Georgia, Portugal, and Czech Republic for me. But I'm looking forward to seeing Georgia, especially Kvaratskhelia. They were quite good through the whole qualifying campaign. So that's a good group. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the tournament overall, Noilish. It's great to have something to keep us going through the summer after how we finished the season. Looking forward to seeing England fail.
Where do you expect them to go out?
I haven't looked at the draw to see what side of the draw they're on or who they get. I'm gonna say the quarterfinals.
Interesting. Be interesting to see. We will keep an eye on it each week, and we'll update it as we go along, and we're doing the shows and stuff like that. And also, folks, if you can subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button to be updated on when we go live. And of course, the most important thing is to be dropping a like on the video. I don't want to see all you guys in here viewing this video and no one's dropping likes on it. That's what's most important to it. Well, that's it. You're back with a bang. What a show to come back to, analysing the whole squad and where we're going to go, and Arnie Slot and Jurgen Eggs in the building, all that kind of stuff. Little did we know 6-8 months ago that all this stuff was going to be happening and stuff like that. But certainly it's going to be very, very interesting.
We really lived it out, didn't we? I said that I texted you the day that he left. I was like, we really fucking lived it, man.
Yeah,
we literally had the best time of our lives.
Yeah, we squeezed all the juice out of that orange, didn't we? That's for sure. And Arnie, you'll get the same treatment. There's no doubt about it as well. But until next time, folks, as I said, hit that subscribe button and all that good stuff as well. Deano, absolute pleasure having you back on, as always.
Thanks, bro.
And more of these shows are going to be happening as we go through the summer and into the new season. And we'll talk to everyone again real soon. Cheers, folks.